My name is Anthony Sartori. I graduated in 2018 and I studied psychology. I became interested in entrepreneurship. I think what's interesting about my story is I was never like, I'm an entrepreneur, right? I was never thinking that from high school or even when I got to the University of Maryland, I kind of fell into it. What surprised me the most about my journey in entrepreneurship, and it led me on a path to social impact and social entrepreneurship that I just had no idea about in high school or, my early general education classes or psychology classes. And so I really started to become interested in entrepreneurship my senior year, which was kind of sad because it was like things were starting to happen. And then we kind of, all right, graduated. But what's been really cool is that I've been able to kind of get more invested in, I would say, the social entrepreneurship network of the University of Maryland. And that has really just taken off, and there's been so much potential there. The catalyst for founding Evolving Minds was my mental health struggles and stories as a University of Maryland student. It was the panic attacks during class. It was the panic attacks hanging out with friends that led me to take an ambulance to the ER. It was the inability to focus in class, not having any idea about the mind or body connection, no awareness of mental health. When you go through your entire formal education experience, 20 years, and not once did you have a class on mental health or a community sharing about mental health stories. It was through my own story of just understanding my obsessive and compulsive mind that put me on a path of understanding that we all have a story. Was talking to my fellow UMD students. Every single one that I would talk to would tell me about their mental health struggles that they were going through, from students that were thinking about taking their life to substance use and trauma. And it was just every single student, every single terp that I talked to had a story. In the culture at large, there's just so much loneliness. There's so much fear. There's so much trauma. And so it was the combination of my own personal story and seeing the great need within, the 40,000 plus terps that are on campus, but just, beyond that. And then our culture, and how can we create, a culture of care? How can we create a culture of compassion? And that was my question that I asked again and again as a UMD student. And it is now the mission of Evolving Minds. Evolving Minds is on a mission to create a culture of care. And our focus is on students. So we work with young people and we train leaders to care about people in the planet. We provide and empower students with resilient skills that they can integrate into their initiatives, their student clubs, their student, social entrepreneurship initiatives that are really focused with an underlying mental health impact. So what does that look like? We have a skill, gratitude. What are you grateful for? And we train students, they have their student group, their student club, their student initiative, and they're all sitting in a circle, right? And the leader asks the team, before you get into the agenda, right? Carving about 15 minutes for time and space to connect. And asks the team, what are you grateful for? And we teach, there's an imaginary ball that kind of flies around the space, which really inspires creativity, playfulness, which I think are the cornerstones of, social entrepreneurship. And the ball flies around the space and people start to connect about what's important to them, what matters. Now, what we do with students is we teach them how to adapt the skills to bring to life the values, the mission, the impact of whatever it is that is your cause that's important to you. So if you're a mental health initiative, what are we grateful for about mental health? If we're a technology initiative, what are we grateful for about our technology? So really aligning mental health with passions, interests, ideas. And that's the Resilient Leaders Program. And then our Connected Cultures initiative is all about creating caring work cultures. So with Mom's Organic Market, we've built out the first retail mental health model. And we've been integrating mindfulness and resilience-based skills into the workflow for essential employees. Now, what does that look like? At the end of a 9:30 p.m. shift, it's been almost 8 hours. The team comes together at the end of the night and they're huddling together. And the manager has been trained to facilitate and lead a paced breathing practice. They pull it up from an audio guided meditation and they play it for everyone to practice that 5 minutes of de-stressing the nervous system after, the intensity of working in a grocery store during a pandemic. If I could boil down Evolving Minds into who we are, it's community, connection, and care. So one thing that I wish I knew was that it's okay to be naive. I didn't study business. I, had no idea what a business model was, markets, audiences, business plans, 5-year. I had no conception of all those things. I studied psychology, right? And so for me, being naive was great because I came in with no clue what to do. And because of that, I learned everything that one has to do. And you kind of become a little bit skillful. There's some areas where it's like, okay, I'm skillful at this, but other areas I can grow in that. So just being naive has been really helpful. Our first fundraising campaign with Evolving Minds, I had this ambitious goal. Hey, we're going to raise 30K. We're going to raise $30,000. And that was the first time I've ever fundraised in my life. And I had no idea how difficult it was. I had this really romantic understanding of people are going to give us money. They're going to want to help out and fundraise for us. And if I knew that going into it, I would have probably been like, okay, let's just raise 5K. That's going to be good. That's going to be a good place to start. But because of that, being naive in a sense, we were able to raise almost half that, almost half of $30,000. There's one thing I wish I knew is it's okay to approach things with a beginner's mind. And a beginner's mind in mindfulness is that in each and every moment you can begin again, which I think is critical for social entrepreneurs when thinking about what is the need, how do we fill that need with gaps and ideas and initiatives. And so that's kind of, I guess, where I am right now. The role of the University of Maryland in our entrepreneurship journey has been critical. It started as a senior on the Do Good stage. We pitched we had this mental health advocacy, this campaign that really resonated with thousands of people across the University of Maryland campus. And we were able to pitch an idea that then led to real and meaningful impact and change. And I think that's really cool because we were able to, through building relationships across campus, with resident life, we won the pit, we won the $5,000. And then we were able to gift some of that money to resident life to train a mental health first aid trainer on campus that then led to hundreds of students and professionals being trained all across campus. And then the university even invested in training an entire cohort of mental health first aid trainers. So the entrepreneurship network connected me with Vitalize, with Viraj and Sanket, and we got coffee at Vigilante. And nothing really, we just kind of were telling each other about our different initiatives and whatnot. And 3 months later, I get an email from Viraj, hey, I'm doing this, let's talk, let's meet, you want to connect? So we connected again, and I ended up joining the Vitalize team as director of mindfulness and building out, programs and things with them. So we're kind of a team, collaborating and watching them pitch on the Dingman stage, on the Do Good stage, and, giving pitch feedback the day of while they were on the stage, and just watching, our team that I joined and become a part of after graduating was really awesome and a neat experience.